Betting is my hope. I can't do without it. I know it has actually gotten to a place I'm all alone. My family doesn't talk to me anymore. They say I'm a lost cause because I can't stop betting. My friends don't want to talk to me anymore because I've accrued so much debt from them. I've had my girlfriend leave me because we have had cases of being evicted from our house. I know it. I know I'll make it. I just can't stop because I know it will all add up one time. It will make sense, and everyone will see it. It will make sense.
I am intrigued by the cycle of hope and disappointment that these men who are addicted to sport betting go through. And I know it's something that's very easy for us to judge from the outside in, but in the Lolo Cynthia show, we do not do that. So we actually have a clinical psychologist who will be joining us from Cape Town, Mr. Aluta Kiba, to give us insight to the psychology of addiction, specifically gambling addiction, and ways that men who are currently addicted to it can overcome it. Thank you so much, Mr. Aluta, for joining us on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the invite.
So we're just going to jump right into it. We've watched like a documentary showcasing different young men who are addicted, and we just watched one right now. And I would want to get your opinion regarding the psychological mechanism of like the cycle of hope and disappointment. Because just before your segment, we spoke to like a sport betting analyst who really mentioned the fact that it's all about hope. The allure of it is about hope. But for me, it feels like so many people have hope, but at the same time, they get disappointed, but they keep on playing. So, what is that cycle? What is the psychological cycle
Mm.
of hope and disappointment experienced by these men who are addicted to sports betting?
So thank you. That's a loaded question, but before I attempt to answer it, I would first like to just share a quotation from Samuel Johnson, who says, "The chains of a bad habit are too weak to be felt until they are too strong to be broken." So you find that with most men who are struggling with this addiction, they get to a point where they become hopeless, helpless, because they've tried on a number of times different methods, different treatment modalities to try and break away from the addiction. But from what we know, it's that the relapse rates within addiction are quite high. So most men then end up feeling the sense of hopelessness and helplessness because they've tried and exhausted every means to break out of the cycle, but they just keep on coming back to square one. So it's really challenging. And with addiction, other people usually say the mind has been hijacked by whatever substance or thing that you are addicted to. So with sports betting, you find that with young men, the part of the brain that is responsible for decision making, for judgment, self control, basically becomes compromised as a result of the addiction, as a result of taking part in sports betting for quite a while. So it's hard, but I would say that men shouldn't lose hope. There are people out there, there are organizations, there are professionals who can position themselves to try and just say you can walk this path again. So the important thing is never giving up, even if you feel that your mind and your brain has been hijacked by the addiction.
Now let's just talk about practical steps. Like I
Mm.
let's say I have, this betting addiction, or I have a brother, or, my father, my uncle that is dealing with a betting addiction. What are some practical steps that I can take if I am dealing with, sport betting addiction right now? And also, what are some suggestions you can give families and communities to be able to support those people who are dealing with a betting addiction?
Hmm. If you can allow me, before I answer that question, to just get back to what you referred to just previously. So
Yeah.
with betting or any addiction, it affects us at a biological level. So it
Mm,
basically changes the chemistry of our brains and how we think, and most probably our neurons. So that's why it doesn't have any boundaries. The mere fact you're human, and whether you come from a different socioeconomic background, you occupy a certain position in society, this addiction does not care about that, because it affects you at a biological level where we are all the same. So
mm,
that's why you need to be just careful of that, and not say because you have resources or you have power or you have this, you might be immune to this. No one is immune to it, and we should take all the necessary steps to safeguard our mental health. Just to answer the second question that you proposed, practical steps. Sure, that's a difficult one, because you'll know that gambling sites are also available online, and we have access to our smartphones, so we're constantly exposed to so many triggers. You can go on YouTube and search for a video, and while you're searching for that video, a sports betting ad comes up or pops up. So this is basically the position that we're finding ourselves in, that we can't escape the triggers. They're everywhere. But what's important, it's, I would say, to tell someone, a trusted friend, a trusted relative, that you're struggling maybe with sports betting, you've exhausted, or it's draining you financially, and that person can then walk this journey with you. So I think
mm.
the most important thing is being transparent and being honest about um, what you are struggling with, and then people are able to come on board and assist you. So I can't suggest to people that don't have smartphones, because we're living in a world where we need to be constantly connected. And what are you going to do when the triggers pop up on your phone? So I can't really say. The other thing is, I can't also say don't go to work, because these sports betting establishments, outlets are everywhere. So what should you do? That's a very philosophical question, I think. But I think what will help you, it's having someone you trust who can walk this journey with you. So
Yeah,
being honest about
vulnerability,
it.
transparency, and having like a
Yes,
strong support system. And as
absolutely.
we round up, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because with addiction, the one thing that it has is like it has shame. So even
Mm,
the remedy is difficult because you have to overcome the shame associated with addiction before you
yes.
can even break free.
I know that with men, what usually happens is we want to be strong. We don't want to be vulnerable. Want to manage things on our own. But in so doing, we end up we end up incurring more damage, or doing more damage to ourselves and the people around us. So the important thing is just to say, it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, at this point I'm feeling weak. Help me. There's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that. It won't make you less of a man or emasculate you. You're still a man, but you have challenges that you need someone to assist you with and overcome.
yeah.